The city held its breath, as if waiting for something to happen, something that would break the stillness of the night. Night had fallen, shrouding everything in a thick darkness that seemed almost tangible, wrapping the city in a cloak of mystery. Streetlights flickered intermittently, casting an unsettling glow on the deserted streets below, their light struggling to pierce the pervasive gloom. Shadows stretched and twisted, hiding in the spaces between light and dark, creating a dance of light and shadow that played tricks on the eyes. The air was heavy with silence, a silence broken only by the distant wail of a siren, echoing through the empty streets like a ghostly lament. This was the city's underbelly, a place where secrets whispered and shadows danced, where the unseen and the unheard thrived.
Ugh, I hate this part of the city. It's always so creepy and unsettling.
Jason pulled his jacket tighter against the chill. The street felt abandoned, forgotten by time and people, a relic of a bygone era. Yet there was an energy here, a palpable tension that hummed beneath the surface, as if the city itself was alive and watching. He could feel it prickling at the edges of his awareness, a constant reminder that they were not alone. Beside him, Liz adjusted her camera bag, her eyes gleaming with excitement. She thrived on the thrill of the unknown.
There's something about these forgotten spaces, you know? They hold stories, memories, echoes of the past. Finding beauty in decay, stories in the shadows, it's like uncovering hidden treasures in the most unexpected places.
Tonight, they were chasing a ghost story, a tale that had been passed down through whispers and hushed conversations. An urban legend whispered in hushed tones in the city's forgotten corners, a story that had taken on a life of its own. The Lady of Shadows, they called her. A spectral figure said to wander the streets, searching for something lost. A restless spirit said to haunt an abandoned building downtown, a place where time seemed to stand still. Jason scoffed at the idea, but Liz's enthusiasm was infectious. She believed in the stories, in the magic of the unknown. And so, here they were, standing before a hulking silhouette against the night sky, a building that seemed to breathe with its own life. The building loomed over them, a testament to forgotten grandeur and urban decay, a place where the past and present collided in eerie harmony.
You sure about this, Liz?
Jason asked, his voice barely a murmur in the stillness. He eyed the building warily. Its windows were dark, like empty sockets staring back at them. Graffiti marred the once elegant facade, a testament to the city's disregard. Liz, already a few steps ahead, turned back, a mischievous glint in her eyes.
Relax, Jason. It's just an old building, unless you're scared.
Scared? Don't be ridiculous.
He tried the handle, surprised to find it unlocked. The door creaked open, releasing a musty, stale odor that made him wrinkle his nose. Liz didn't hesitate. She slipped past him, her camera clicking as she began documenting their adventure. Jason followed, his hand instinctively reaching for the small flashlight in his pocket. They stepped inside, the door groaning shut behind them. The air inside was heavy, thick with dust and the weight of forgotten memories. The only light came from Liz's camera flash and Jason's flashlight beam, cutting through the oppressive darkness. They were in a large, cavernous space that might have once been a grand ballroom. Now it was a shell, stripped bare and echoing with emptiness.
This place is creepy. It's like the walls themselves are watching us.
Jason admitted, his voice echoing strangely in the silence, as if the building itself was amplifying his fear. He shone his flashlight around, illuminating peeling wallpaper and faded grandeur, remnants of a time long past. Liz didn't answer, already captivated by the building's macabre beauty, her eyes wide with a mix of awe and trepidation. She moved with a grace that belied the darkness, her camera a silent observer to their exploration, capturing every eerie detail. As they ventured deeper into the building, Jason felt a prickle of unease crawl up his spine, a sensation that grew stronger with each step. The silence was broken now, by faint whispers that seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves, as if the building was trying to communicate. He stopped, shining his light on the source of the sound, trying to pinpoint where the whispers were coming from.
"Did you hear that? It sounded like someone was right behind us,"
he whispered, his voice tight with apprehension, his eyes darting around the dark hallway. Liz lowered her camera, her brow furrowed in concentration, straining to hear the elusive sounds.
Hear what? I don't hear anything.
"There. It's like whispering. Can't you hear it? It's getting louder,"
Jason insisted, pointing his light down the hallway, his hand trembling slightly. The whispers grew louder, swirling around them like a cold breeze, sending shivers down their spines. They were faint, indistinct murmurs, impossible to decipher, yet filled with an eerie intensity. Yet there was an undeniable quality to them, a sense of sorrow and anger that sent chills down Jason's spine, making him want to flee. He felt a sudden urge to turn back, to escape the oppressive atmosphere of the building, but something held him in place. But Liz was already moving towards the sound, drawn to it like a moth to a flame, her curiosity overpowering her fear. Jason had no choice but to follow, his heart pounding against his ribs, each step echoing in the silent, haunted halls. As they moved deeper, Jason's flashlight caught an old, dusty photograph on the floor. He picked it up, revealing a family portrait, their faces twisted in fear. The photograph seemed to pulse with a life of its own, adding to the growing sense of dread that enveloped them. Jason and Liz exchanged a fearful glance, realizing that they were not alone in this decaying, haunted place.
Descent into darkness. The hallway was narrow and cramped, the air thick with dust and the smell of decay. The walls seemed to close in on them, suffocating and oppressive, as if the very structure of the building was alive and intent on swallowing them whole.
The whispers grew louder as they descended, swirling around them like phantom voices. It was as if the walls themselves were speaking, sharing secrets of the past, secrets that were never meant to be uncovered. Each step they took seemed to amplify the voices, making them more distinct, more insistent.
Jason felt a cold dread creep into his heart. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, that something unseen lurked in the shadows. His every instinct screamed at him to turn back, to flee from this place, but he couldn't leave Liz behind.
Liz, however, seemed unfazed. She moved with a newfound urgency, her camera clicking rapidly as if trying to capture the unseen presence. Her eyes were wide with excitement, her breath coming in quick, shallow gasps. She was in her element, driven by a need to document the unknown.
They reached the end of the hallway, finding themselves before a heavy iron door. It was rusted and partially ajar, as if someone had tried to force it open. The door seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy, as if it were a gateway to another world, a world of darkness and despair.
The whispers were loudest here, emanating from the other side of the door. Jason could feel a cold draft seeping from beneath it, sending a shiver down his spine. The air was thick with the scent of mold and decay, and he could almost taste the fear that hung in the air.
"Maybe we should turn back. This doesn't feel right." Jason's voice was barely more than a whisper, his fear evident in every word. He glanced back the way they had come, longing for the safety of the outside world.
Liz hesitated, her hand hovering over the door handle. She too could feel the change in atmosphere, the palpable sense of dread that hung in the air. Her heart pounded in her chest, but her curiosity was a powerful force, driving her to push forward. But her curiosity outweighed her fear. "Just one look. Then we can leave." Her voice was steady, but there was a tremor in her hand as she reached for the door.
Jason knew it was pointless to argue. Liz was like a bloodhound on the scent, and nothing would deter her now. He could see the determination in her eyes, the set of her jaw. She was committed to seeing this through, no matter the cost. He watched with growing unease as Liz pushed the door open, revealing a set of stairs leading down into darkness. The whispers reached a crescendo, swirling around them like a vortex of despair. The darkness seemed to beckon them, promising secrets and horrors in equal measure. And then, Jason saw it. A flicker of movement at the bottom of the stairs. A shadow detached itself from the darkness, taking the form of a woman. She was barely visible, a wraith-like figure that seemed to float just above the ground. Her eyes glowed with an eerie light, and her mouth moved as if she were speaking, but no sound came out. Jason's heart pounded in his chest, and he knew that they had crossed a threshold from which there was no return. The Lady in Shadows.
Liz's breath caught in her throat as the figure emerged, shrouded in darkness.
Jason's heart pounded in his chest. He couldn't believe his eyes.
The ghostly figure moved closer, her eyes hollow and filled with sorrow.
Liz raised her camera, her hands trembling. She had to capture this moment, no matter how terrifying.
Jason stepped back, his instincts screaming at him to run.
The woman spoke, her voice a haunting whisper. "Why have you come here?"
Liz swallowed hard, her voice barely audible. We wanted to know the truth."
The ghostly figure's expression softened, but the sadness in her eyes remained. "The truth is buried in the darkness. Are you prepared to face it?"
Jason felt a chill run down his spine. He wasn't sure they were ready for what lay ahead.
Liz nodded, determination in her eyes. "Yes, we are."
The woman slowly faded back into the shadows, leaving them with a sense of foreboding.
Jason and Liz exchanged a glance, the weight of their decision heavy on their shoulders.
With a deep breath, they took the first step into the unknown, ready to uncover the secrets that awaited them in the darkness.